We are here, Profound Conversations, and we're having a discussion with Cynthia Tawiah. And this time we want to talk about this, what you did, right? So you were able to start a business, that you had this divine spark that came to you through your professor, at that you are a chemist and a cosmetologist, and you had the voice of an instructor that tells you that you can do things differently. You had the idea of giving sacred service individuals, and you talk about the issue of living a purpose-driven life that led you to entrepreneurship, because you said that when you live your purpose and your passion, you end up in a place where you are powerful. And I found that to be a wonderful narrative. So now you have this place on Owens Mill Road with a credit card that's maxed out. I got to make the story sound good, right? Boards torn up, right? Automobile on E. Don't know how you're going to get back to the place, but you got the credit card, but you don't have gas in the car. I want to make it dramatic. So you're here in this moment. What is the vision of this location that you are creating? What is the vision behind this?
The vision is to have a place of healing for women. A place where women could get beautified, get their hair done, get beauty services, and experience healing. But what I did was I got in and focused on the external, the cosmetic part, the superficial. And when I got there, what I ended up doing was focusing on getting the hair done, getting the nails done, did that whole thing. And what I really truly desired was a place of healing, a spa, a place of rest, a sanctuary. So I was a square peg trying to fit into a round hole. And I experienced turnover in that location. And that turnover went on from '04 till '07 until, in a conversation with a friend, I came to that realization that what I always wanted to do was create beauty products. And that's when the products were born in '07. So I get there and it wasn't smooth sailing. I also continue to go through difficulty, because once you are not your authentic, genuine self, once again, you'll face difficulty, because the goal was to provide a place for healing, and my teacher had taught me to make beauty products. So that place birthed the product. And that place also birthed a philanthropic mission in '05.
Run the tape back again. Hold on. Run the tape back. Hold on. You jump. That place. Which place did this now?
The 152. I'm sorry. The 11299 Owings Mills Boulevard. The place that I'd opened as a salon.
The one that
in
people
'04.
just kept leaving.
Yes. The place that people kept leaving.
But
Yes.
how does a place of destruction and despair become the place that is transformative? What happens? What'd you do?
Because your place of pain is what becomes your purpose, your mission. I was pouring into these young ladies. I was helping them. I would build up their clientele and they would leave. And that kept happening. I had that cycle going on and on and on. And you talk about teaching, drawing out of. That's what I was trying to do. Draw out of them. I was trying to mentor. I was trying to educate. And I was trying to pour in all at once while trying to grow my business. And it doesn't work when you're trying to do those things simultaneously. What I should have focused on was the women and giving them that healing experience, which I was doing, and then figure out how to get my products. But in the midst of the turnover, it happened anyway. I ended up giving birth to my products there.
Yeah. There it is. So we all the way back down to the chemistry lesson.
Yes.
And it's come to the back, comes to the front.
Yes.
And you said that you wanted a place of healing. And you said that first of all, you focus on the external, the superficial.
That's it.
But true healing comes from the inside. So
that's it.
I want to say this. She had this narrative. My father used to fix up on cars, right? And so we would go around to junkyards and we would select stuff. And so he said, "Which one do you think I ought to get?" And I point to one that looked really, really good, right? Looked pretty good, better than the other pieces of junk that was there. He says, "Well, go start it," and it wouldn't start, right? And he said, and he pointed to one, and it was just unattractive. It was ugly as could be. He says, now go start that one. He says, now listen, that's what you want, right? He says, sometimes you get stuck on looking at the outside that you don't know what's on the inside. See, if you got a good engine, you can figure out the body. But if you got a good
Mm,
body and nobody with a bad engine, it's jacked up from the back up. So he was very clear about certain things. So I just want you to know that you said that when you go on the inside and transform
God,
the inside,
that's it.
everything else gets right on the outside. And
That's
so
it. That's it.
that's cool. So this
Yeah.
space of healing, of
Yes.
restoration that you created, right? This idea of wellness. So now this is what you're talking about. Two things, right? You're talking about a wellness place, and secondarily, you talk about the issue of empowering women.
That's it.
Share that narrative about a wellness center and empowering. And so it seems like you talk about the Bible. Seems like all the time in the Bible, people got healed along the way. It seems
Yes.
like the empowerment came along the way of
Way
developing the place of healing. Go
healing.
talk to it. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yes. So in the midst of this turnover, is where my products were born. And that actual situation happened when a friend of mine came to visit. He had a daycare, successful daycares, two of them. And I was so miserable. I said, Jonathan, I help people and they burn me, they hurt me. You know, I can't seem to keep people in here. They come, I help them and they burn me. And I was expecting him to say, oh, they're so horrible, da, 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 and agree with me. He said, no, they haven't burnt you, they've blessed you. You need to
Hmm.
go back to the real reason why you started this, and it's going to take you back to what you were called to do. And that evening, when I got home, I sat there, I prayed, I took a shower, I sat, and I had pulled my journals out because I write my whole life story out. I write out things before they happen. And when I took out my journal, one of the things that I put in there was to own a salon and then also to create beauty products. And it took me back to the original plan, which was to create the beauty products. And that's when the light went on again, and I decided to launch the products.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the
That
products
is
were born in
creative.
'07 in the midst of the madness, because metamorphosis always begins in the dark.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Habakkuk in your presentation because it says, write the
Yes.
vision down and
And
make it
make it
plain, right?
plain.
Right.
Yes.
And in the appointed
Yes.
time, right? Though it may tarry, right? And so you were very clear about the importance, the relevance, the significance of listening to the voice that's greater than yourself,
That's
of
right.
being willing to do it, because if you don't engage in those activities, you'll find yourself in a hell spin. And so all these narratives work very well. And you
Yes.
said that true to your purpose, your calling, to know that
Yes.
you're called for something greater.
Great.
So these products, right? So talk about these beauty products that you now develop as a cosmo nursing chemistry, whatever it is that you are at this point. So tell us about the
So
product.
my products are were created for restoration of the hair, to stop hair shedding, hair breakage, and stimulate growth. And we have about 13 line items altogether. So in all of this, with everything I do, it can be summed up in one word: restoration. Um,
Mm,
the products are to restore my current location that I'm in, which took 10 years to build and manifest and so
restore.
forth, is about restoration. And I
Hmm.
also have the nonprofit, which is the Diva Project, where we bring women in from homeless shelters who are victims of domestic violence for full makeover, healing inside and out. And once again, that's about restoration. So
Mm,
everything can be summed up in that word:
mm.
restoration.
The Diva Project, talks us about that Diva Project, the
Yes,
restoration, right?
yes,
So how
yes,
how was
yes.
that birth? Hmm.
That was birthed. Actually, my husband is the person who birthed that idea. In 2005, he said to me, he said, Cynthia, you love helping women. You've always wanted to volunteer in the shelters. Why don't I go to the shelter and bring in some women for you to beautify them? And he and his friend went to a shelter and they brought us 15 women. They took the cards, they brought them in, and we did their hair. We gave them something to eat. We gave them motivational presentation, and it was amazing. We had a prayer circle. It was just really wonderful.
Mm.
And from that point on, every year we just kept doing it, doing it, doing it. And it expanded into what we call the Diva Project, where we basically bring the women from the shelters. We brought them in limousines. They walk the red carpet. We've been on Tom Joyner's show. We've been on the Soul. So many places that we've been exposed as a result of what we do for the women. And
Mm.
the Diva Project is the heart of the mission because
Mm.
it's not about you, as a woman, particularly as a Black female, doing well for yourself and walking away. You have to turn around and pull another sister up. The covenant that I made with God. People, I would say you can make a pact with the devil or a covenant with God. But the covenant that I made, I promise that, Lord, you take me out of this situation. I promise I will reach back and help other women cross over. And that's why I'm called the purpose pusher, the metamorphosis mentor. And that's why I'm the doula, because that is what is incumbent on me to bring other women over to the other side.
I
Yes.
was going to talk about this purpose pusher, right? But I think the story is so beautiful about listening to the higher power, understanding that the greater portion is within you to make a difference in somebody else's life. Being willing to do that is imperative. And then the partnership that you talk about, your husband say, "This is what you do. So let's see how you can do that." Right. And so all that's in there. And you said that I give back. You made a promise. If you let me do this, I'll do this. I mean,
Yes.
I made some promises to God. I remember one time I got so intoxicated and I said, "God, if you ever let me get out of this, I'll never do this again." But I did. I went back at least once or twice. But you talk about, if I get out of this, right? If you let me do this, I will do that. That's a
Yes.
powerful relationship. And you mentioned earlier that it's a two-way conversation. I mean,
Yes.
sometimes people think it's one way, but it's a two-way conversation, and you can have that conversation. So that's the listen. But talk about this. Tell us about purpose pusher. That portion first, and then metamorphosis, and then the medulla. Go.
So for me, being a purpose pusher means that when a woman or even a man comes to see me for what I call a healing session, where I'm counseling them with my gift, um, I am imbued, or it's incumbent on me to help bring out what the gifting is or recognize what the gifting is and help direct them in that way, because that's what my calling is. All I'm there to do is listen. My focus is not on, you know, um, how great your relationship could be with that man, because I have people come to me and they complain about their relationships with men and whatnot. That is not my focus. My focus is hearing who you are, figuring it out, and helping you birth that passion and that purpose so that you can do something greater than yourself. So you can focus on something greater than yourself. All of that is great. Having money is great. Having that relationship is great. But doing these things that you were called to do and born to do are greater because you're serving a
Mm.
greater purpose than yourself.
Mm. Purpose pusher,
Yes.
right? To move beyond the confines of your own fears. Because you mentioned
Yes.
earlier on about your fears,
Yes.
face evidence, false evidence appearing real, fear,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some say face everything and recover. Then
Mm-hmm.
you talked about this, the second part you mentioned about metamorphosis. That's the idea of changing from one form to the
Yes.
next.
Yes. And the
Share about
butterfly
that.
goes through four stages.
Mm-hmm.
So in life, you can't desire change and be tightly held in bud. If you look at a flower, flowers bloom and show their radiance and their beauty, and that's to be shared with the world. The same with a butterfly. If a butterfly were to remain tightly in that wrapped in that cocoon, it would not evolve and give off its beauty to bring joy to others. So, metamorphosis is about the change from the inside out, the evolution. You cannot be the same person. And that's why I talked about this comfortability, this complacency of, I just want that job so I can sit back and retire in it when God desires greater for you, because it's not about you. It's about you using your gifts to help humanity, to help someone else along. Do you think about, we think being productive is being busy. Being productive is being impactful, making a change or changing, helping change someone else's life. That's what being
Run it back,
productive
run it back,
is.
run it back, run it back. Got to say that being busy. Come on now, talk to me. Say it again.
Yes, busyness and productivity. That's not what productivity
Mm,
is.
mm,
Being productive means being impactful. And
mm.
we all have to look at whose life have we touched. Because I want to leave this earth empty. I want to leave having emptied out everything, like everything that he gave me, using that versus leaving with all the gifts and talents in me. That's
Okay,
the true parable of the talents in the Bible.
mm.
Yes. Yes.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
About because I think about busy being busy,
Yeah. No.
but not busy taking care of business. And you said
Busy
if you're
taking
taking care of
care.
business, you're being impactful. And the
Impactful.
question
Yeah.
becomes, whose life have you changed? And you said you want to be empty. I know I heard Miles Monroe said that the graveyard is filled with
Oh,
books that have
yes.
not been written, that sermons have
Yes.
not been preached, that medicines
Preached. Yes.
have not been created, right? Cures have not been
Yes.
created
Yes.
because people were too afraid.
Yes.
So you said that. So what is about this a medulla conversation? What is that?
You said medulla? I
Uh, You
not
said you
sure.
said you said the third thing you said I'm this pusher
For sure.
and you are
A
the
doula, a birther,
a,
someone who helps
a
birth.
doula.
A doula. I'm a
Thank
midwife.
you.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you,
Yes.
Wanda.
So
But
I'm
thank you,
using them
people.
synonymously. Purpose pushing and being a doula.
I'm talking
A
about. I
birth
went to
pushing.
medulla
Yes.
oblongata. I'm like, okay,
Oh
I
no,
don't
not
know.
the brain.
I want to see what's happening with the medulla oblongata. Okay,
Yes.
so we got the doula, and so giving
Yes.
birth, and I think that
Yes.
that is powerful. We have heard your voice. Is there anything that you would like to say in closing that we need to hear from you? Because you said so many things, so you had dropped so many wonderful nuggets in this conversation.
Yes. There's nothing more powerful than a human soul on fire. So if you approach a bank or you approach an entity to start something and you're laughed at, you're ridiculed, you're not given that opportunity, you create that opportunity. Don't
Mm,
stop. Keep moving forward. Keep pressing forward. You don't want to, because nobody can actually see the end of something. You know what you desire in your heart, but keep that flame and that passion going, and it'll take you places. That is
mm,
the very place you want to be, passionate. And I always share that my 5 P's for success, or 6 P's, are prayer, passion, perseverance, persistence, presence, and positivity. And that will
mm.
take you anywhere. Yes.
That is it. She gave us these 6 P's,
Yes.
and I'm good. I'm not that good, but prayer and positivity is what I got. Uh, Perseverance and persistence. It is imperative that we engage in the process of knowing that we've been created for something great.
Great.
And this is the moment called now to do it. And Cynthia has reminded us of that. She's shown how she has gone through certain experiences. And I will submit to you that there was an experiment done with the butterfly, well, not necessarily experiment. The teacher in the science class, just like what you described in chemistry, the a boy and girl had their caterpillars, and they took them to their places, and they watched and waited, and then the caterpillar, of course, went into the cocoon phase. You know, the various phases that it to go through, and the 4 phases that you mentioned, that's two of the four. And so it goes into the cocoon, and at a certain point, the cocoon is wiggling and churning and so forth. And the boy who's been playing and just forgot all about his experiment because it was taking too long. He's out playing. The girl had been watching, and so she saw her struggling. So she said, "I want to help it." So she cut it open so that it could come out.
Oh.
And when it came out, it just flopped, and it couldn't do anything. And the boys came out because he'd forgotten about it, not because he was a genius. Came out, and it pressed against the shell, and it was a full-fledged butterfly. And what it tells us is that in life, we have to we go through this metamorphosis, and there's a part where there's a struggle and a challenge.
Mm.
But if we press through that, we can then be beautiful and we can radiate. And that's what you told us in your story. You said there has been a point in my story where I have gone through these phases of self-doubts, of fear, of believing the voice of others more than myself, running from myself, moving here to there, listening to a higher voice. And then I began to listen to the higher voice and act upon that higher voice. And I still struggled. And as I began to struggle and push against something, it gave birth to an entirely new reality. And it wasn't easy. I think people want to find the easy story. The issue is that it's beautiful. And the beauty is in being able to listen to the higher power. Thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you so much for your products and the Diva Project. I've been inspired by this. I thank you for you reprimanding me earlier about losing a good job, and you've birthed something else in me. So I appreciate you so much. And I know
You're
that if
welcome.
you did it in this moment, that Spirit told you to say what you said, that I can just only imagine what you do with those and all the moments that you spend. You are definitely an anointed person, and we are blessed to have you in this profound conversation today.
Thank you, Kojo.